Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, this is Roberta, and I have the privilege of being the associate publisher of New England Home Connecticut Magazine. And I'd like to welcome everyone to the 8th year in partnership with George Steed and Wakefield Design Center in Stamford, Connecticut. I have to tell you that because we're virtual, co-hosting To the Trade Only Market Day. With the help of Beth Dempsey and her team at Images and Details, twice a year, we have brought nationally and internationally recognized design icons to our regional market. And as I said, this event is usually held at Wakefield Design Center, where we have yummy food, and at the end of the day, we have wine and champagne, and it's a really great networking time. But in absence of being able to do that, we've broken up what is usually an afternoon into what is going to be 3 separate sessions. And so this afternoon is the first one, and it's called The Marriage of Art and Design. And part 2 and part 3 are May 14th and May 21st, and you will all be receiving invitations to that. No great event can go off without sponsor support, and I would like to acknowledge each of our sponsoring companies. Now, again, typically at the in-person event, everybody would get a chance to say something, but what we've decided to do is let 2 of our sponsors sort of be the hosts of each of the 3 events. So our sponsoring companies are Dean Distinctive Design and Cabinetry, L&M Custom Carpets and Rugs, The Linen Shop, Digital Home Systems, Heidi Hulzer Design and Decorative Work, and Alina's Decorators Workshop. So today's sponsoring companies are L&M Custom Carpets and Rugs and Dean Decorative Design and Cabinetry. Now, my friend Gary from L&M actually was having technical problems, and since he can't go anywhere with his computer, I am going to do Gary's commercial for you. So L&M Custom Rugs, Carpets and Rugs. Their tagline is the interior designer source for showroom quality custom carpets and rugs at direct prices. Gary does a lot of beautiful flat weaves. He pretty much can get any kind of beautiful custom carpet. He works out of his car. He comes to you. He wanted me to show you that he runs on the back cover of every single issue of New England Home Connecticut, and we'll be doing that for as long as he lives, according to him. So that's a nice testimony. He wants you to know that he's out on the road again. He's doing safe meetings. He's bringing his samples. His meetings are outside. He's been meeting with designers here in Connecticut. He also wants you to know, which is I think very interesting, because I know that we have a lot of people that are joining us from all of New England, and he now has a line of carpets at the Carpet Workroom in Avon and Needham, Massachusetts. So that's an expansion of his business, and any of you who are not in the Connecticut, New York market can now have access to his beautiful carpets there. And Gary's a super great guy. So there you go. So now I'm going to turn this over to Veronica from Dean Distinctive Design and Cabinetry.
Hi there. Hi everybody. I'm Veronica Campbell, and I'm in our Stamford showroom. We have 2 showrooms, one here in Stamford, Connecticut, and one in New Canaan. And for those of you who don't know us, we are a 3rd generation family design business. We specialize in kitchens and baths, but so much more, bookshelves, offices, bars, and we enjoy working with our allied professionals. You are our partners, and it's when we team up with the designers, builders, and architects, that's when we feel we have the best outcome. So just to tell you quickly a little bit about our services, I think what makes your life easier is that we have a showroom, so you can schedule to bring your clients here, or in this crazy time of COVID, we're happy to do FaceTime and Zoom appointments as well. Here, your clients can be inspired by all of our displays. They can touch, feel, and actually see everything that they're getting. We also take care of all the shop drawings and measurements, which is a huge relief and an ease to your job. We stand behind all of it. We have field supervision, so we would be happy to work with the contractors, the trades, to make sure that the job is executed well. We do all of our own installation, and we'll do product sourcing, and we'll work with you to do as much or as little as you'd like. So we're happy to source the countertops, the backsplash, as well as, of course, the cabinetry, but we work with you and how you like to work with your client, and we can share in those responsibilities. We're happy to do that. What we're finding now is that we're doing a lot of destination projects, as I'm sure you're doing. Right now, I'm personally working on 3 projects in Nantucket, which is not easy during this time, the Cape and the Cayman Islands. So we go all over, and we have an installer that'll take care of that as well. So I'd love to encourage you to call us or email me at Dean. I'm sure our information will be provided to you. I'm Veronica C at deaninc.com, and we'd love to schedule an appointment, whether in person or Zoom or FaceTime. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Veronica. And now I would like to introduce George Steed, who's the owner of Wakefield Design Center, with whom we've had a tremendous long-term partnership, and happy to turn it over to you, George.
Thanks, Roberta. As she made reference, this is our 8th year. It is our first virtual trade day, but we're excited about it for a variety of reasons. It's challenging. We'd like to thank Roberta and all of our sponsors. And for those of you who don't know us, we are located in Stamford, Connecticut. We're a 12,000 square foot showroom. And what makes us a little different than everyone else is, and it has nothing to do with our current situation. Everything is for sale off the floor the day we get it. So we can furnish a whole house if you need it, and we're ready to go. Cash and carry, or we'll deliver to you. We're eagerly awaiting a return to normal. In the meantime, we're here for you by appointment, whether it's Zoom. We can deliver finished samples, fabrics to you. If you want to make an appointment, we're fully disinfected and have everything you need to make sure that, you know, a visit here is safe. I can't believe that the last time I saw Laurie and Lisa was at Maison Objet in Paris. That seems like light years ago, but we had so much fun, and I really enjoyed the collection, the collaboration, getting to know each of you better. So thank you so much. I can't wait to see everybody in person once we open. We actually had a designer who came in the other day to pick up a finished sample and actually cried because she was so happy to be surrounded by the things that she loves to work with. So I'll see you at the end of the presentation. Right now, I'd like to turn the meeting over, or turn the Zoom over to Clint Smith, the editor-in-large, New England Home Magazine, and bye for now.
Thank you, George. Once this is over, I've got to get that pink, the name of that paint color behind you. That's a good color. Well, hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. I hope everyone is safe, well, and happy wherever this finds you. I'm at my home in Bedford, New York, not too far from George in the Wakefield Design Center. And I look forward to being able to go back over there once we get the all clear. I'm thrilled to be here today with our 2 panelists, Laurie Weitzner and Lisa Hunt. They are 2 powerhouse creatives from the worlds of art and interior design, who recently joined forces to collaborate on a new fabric and wallpaper collection that's really, really special. I think you'll find it to be a breath of fresh air. They've created a great presentation to share with us today, and we will get to that as soon as I do 2 quick introductions. Laurie is the principal and creative director of Laurie Weitzner Design and is internationally known for her contributions to the world of textiles and wall coverings under the brand Weitzner Limited. She additionally collaborates with eponymous brands creating rugs, passementerie, stone and tile, bedding, and gifting. Her work is in the permanent collections of museums such as the Cooper Hewitt in New York and the Victoria Albert in London, and she is the recipient of more than 35 prestigious design awards. She recently authored her first book, Ode to Color, The 10 Essential Palettes for Living and Design, published by HarperCollins, and she lectures around the world on the effects of color on our well-being. Last year, she stepped outside of the world of interiors to launch her first collection of textile-infused jewelry and accessories. Each piece, uniquely handmade, has allowed Weitzner to help preserve the work of craftsmen for the modern world. Next, Lisa Hunt. After over 20 years of contributing to the publishing world's top brands, most notably as the creative director of Essence magazine, Lisa decided it was time to get back to what makes her happiest, and that is creating art with her own hands. And in 2015, she started her second career as a full-time visual artist. Lisa's screen-printed works on paper and canvas explore the spatial and meditative relationships found within repeat patterns. Comprised of graphic shapes, symbols, and reimagined typographic elements, they are expressed with a minimalist approach. Her work employs an aesthetic use of 24-karat gold leaf as a nod to its illuminating and adorning use throughout art history. She's represented by Uprise Art and Stella Ripley Contemporary, and she's been featured in all the best magazines, and she's a founding member of the Black Artists and Designers Guild. She lives in Maplewood, New Jersey with her husband, Kyle, and their dog, Sally, where she works from her home-based art studio. So I know you'll join me in giving them a virtual welcome and round of applause. So Laurie and Lisa, can you let's start off, how did you two first meet?
Well, I'll start by saying that I was looking through magazines as I usually do. Please let the magazines all survive. And I saw a beautiful story on Lisa. First I saw her picture and I thought, oh, she's beautiful. And then I looked at her work and I thought, oh my God, her work is beautiful. And it was all these giant art pieces where she combined her gold leafing techniques. And what I was most drawn to was it was geometry, but it was geometry in a very calming, organic way, if I can say that. That sounds contrasting, and Weitzner, the company that I have, we don't do geometry all that well, but we need it in the collection. And I thought, oh my God, her work translated into wall coverings and textile could actually be beautiful. So I just reached out to her.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so had either of you been looking for collaborative partners, or was it really just the two of you meeting that sort of sparked the idea?
I'll start with that. I actually hadn't been necessarily looking, but I had been approached in the past. But I have to say, when I met Laurie, I knew that it was the right time and a good fit. Wallpaper in particular is something that I had explored on my own, as you know, just an idea that maybe I would have a small collection myself that I would produce and present. And so I had done some exploration with that, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from designers in particular who've seen my work in person. And because I think of the repeat patterns in my work, there was a lot of inquiry about wallpaper. So when Laurie came to my studio, she reached out and we had a conversation. It seemed like the right time and the perfect fit.
Sorry, I hope that's not distracting, but I wanted to get to some of her artwork. There's always glitches with this, but these are the kinds of things that I saw. And those beautiful pieces of artwork is what I saw in the magazine. And I went to her studio, which at the time was in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I just was mesmerized, and not just with the pieces, but with her process. And so that was the beginning. Those are some big pieces of her work.
And Laurie, can you talk about, had you done collaborations in the past, or when you do those, what are you looking for?
You know, I haven't done many, I'll be honest, in terms of this kind of thing where it's a guest artist. I had done one before for an outdoor collection for something very painterly and colorful. Again, when I do collaborations, I'm looking for something to fill a void that we at Weitzner don't have and doesn't feel natural for me to do, but yet I know we need it in the collection. Right. So in this example, it was geometry. In this other example, it was very bright, colorful, highly saturated outdoor print fabrics. And so with Lisa's, what was so cool about it is that we didn't just want to take it and literally just make it, you know, as a wall covering or fabric. We wanted to take it because it's so layered and there's so many things we can do with it, where we can apply interesting weave techniques, or we can apply interesting print techniques, or we can print on a really interesting ground with texture, like in one case, a grass cloth. And so her work was like a muse, actually.
Nice.
And Lisa was having to work with, because she trusted us, let's say, which I don't know. I never actually asked you how that felt, but like give us her babies and then let us do our thing. How was that, Lisa?
You honestly found like a kindred spirit, right?
I did. I think that, I think from the beginning when Laurie and I met in my studio, anyone who I think knows and has met Laurie knows that she is such a genuine and easy person to talk to. And she was really excited about the work, which made me excited about the possibilities. And then, when I did a little more research after the initial meeting and saw what Weitzner was capable of, I was even more excited. And so, initially I was a little nervous. Like you said, these are my babies. But, like I said, once I saw what Weitzner and Laurie and her team were capable of doing, and I was able to just with trust, kind of turn over the work to Laurie and her team. And I'm just really, really pleased at the way they interpreted everything. I think it came out really beautiful and went beyond my expectations. So really happy with everything.
Just one little side note, Clint, which was really touching, was when we did the photo shoot. It was the first time we had the pieces really big. And we asked Lisa to come by and look at them. I hope it's okay that I say this, Lisa.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I did.
Really sweet. And then I was like, oh, thank God, because you want her to be pleased. And she had never seen, big pieces before. So it was lovely. It was a whole lovely collaboration. And the artwork, as I'm showing you here, I mean, we did a lot of, we played a lot with it, and it just gave us so much to work with.
Got it. Well, one of the things I forgot to mention at the beginning was, for all of you who are joining us today, please feel free to use the Q&A button on your screens and leave us a question or a comment. And as we go along or at the end, we'll do our best to answer those. So please feel like this is interactive, and we're happy to help answer any questions you have. So Laurie, whenever you're doing a collection, whether it's one of your own or a collaboration, from both a creative standpoint and, of course, a business standpoint, how do you define what makes a good collection?
A lot of things. First of all, my client is very important, and that's the interior designer. Right. And I need to make sure that I can produce something that's A, unique, but B, beautiful and relevant for them, that it has all the things they need. And there are some things that are not as exciting, like, durability and pricing and all those things that aren't very romantic. But then the romantic side are things that are just so beautifully compelling that they have to have it for their client. And then put it all together in a way that it's fresh and new and not like anything else on the market already. So we have to take all of that into account, and we really try very hard to introduce collections that meet all of those requirements, but that are also still very viable and easy to use in a space. So it's kind of like putting it all together. There's no, it's a recipe. It's like cooking. Right.
I'd love for you to go back to one of the opening shots that shows your studio.
Yeah, sorry.
You have a beautiful studio near the Flatiron, and Lisa, your studio is at home. How did this studio process evolve, and what was sort of the timeline from that initial meeting, and what was that back and forth like?
So I'll just start, and then Lisa, you can tell us how you thought about it. But we do have the studio in Chelsea. It's I call it the White Box Sanctuary. I'm actually here today alone. No, my team are at home working remotely.
I thought it looked like a change of scenery compared to yesterday, but
I know it was a change of scenery. With Zoom these days, we all of us need to pay attention to what's behind us. And I was so bored with my backdrop from the last few days. Anyway, it's all white. We work with color and design, and we do everything here. We paint, we draw. And what we did was, that just shows sort of some sketches and how they relate to product. What we did was invite Lisa here, and she came and she saw the space and understood our process. We thought that was really important before we started on anything, and that she was game. And then after that, we went through all of her artwork, beautiful artwork. It was very hard to decide. These are just some examples of our work and our color boxes, because we couldn't do a collection of everything we wanted. We had to really choose. That was probably the hardest part. So Lisa gave us a lot of things to work with, and some things we never even showed her because we didn't like what the results were. And then there were other things that we knew had potential but needed more work. And then those that came back from our artisans or our mills, depending on who we were working with, right away the first time, we were just like, perfect. And those we would show Lisa right away. So I don't remember, Lisa, how many times you came to the studio during the—
I think it was either like 2 or 3 times. And, you know, each time I felt like a kid in a candy store because there's just so much inspiration everywhere. And I know that some of the early kind of development samples that you showed me were just, you know, kind of blew my mind, the different fabrications and the different processes. And, you know, I was just, it was great for me as a creative person. You know, I'm always looking for inspiration, and definitely, you know, going to the studio and just even understanding more about the process of how the collection comes together was very inspiring for me. And I've kind of taken some things away from that and started thinking about how to incorporate some of those things into the work, my new work.
And I know you work with artisans around the world with your own collections, and you place, and with your new jewelry, you know, you place such a high value on craft and the hand of the artisan.
Yeah.
How did those sources come into play with the creation of this collection?
Yeah, I thank you very much for asking that. Yes, not in every product we did with Lisa's designs, but certainly in some of them, we worked with a whole group of artisans to hand print screen on grass cloth that was handmade, and those came out just beautifully. That's called Olympia, that wall covering. It's in 4 colors, and it's really, really beautiful. Then we work with Japanese artisans, so we're really working in many different places based on what the technique we want is. And in this case, we printed, it's called Hourglass, and I'll show you pictures of it. We printed on this special technique that only the Japanese can do, on this warped ground paper, so that, and with this metallic, I'll get to it, because we had to replicate her use of gold leafing in a way that was really elegant, as her work is, and not like glitzy in your face. But we also wanted to have a clean vinyl in the collection, because to be honest, we sell a lot of it. And we have a long history with our manufacturer who does what I call clean vinyls. There's no off-gassing. They're better for the environment. And we did one called Light Ray, because we wanted to make sure that her work could also be seen in hotels and restaurants where we sell a lot of product. That's the pattern for Light Ray, and that flower, Olympia. And what I love, again, just going back to that, what drew me to her work was the geometry. But the geometry, I don't know how to describe it. Clint, you're much better at words than I am. Like, there's a certain nuance to her geometry that's beautiful. That's Light Ray. So that's done on a clean vinyl, and we combined Mylar with it. Mylar gives it a real metallic look, but then the print over it in the ground is totally matte. So you play with matte and shine there, which is very much part of what she does. That's just a detail shot of Olympia, where that's the print that we worked with artisans on, where they hand cut screens and printed on grass cloth. The colors are really, really beautiful, and the pattern is just lovely. And this is the example of where Lisa came to the studio with her beautiful graphic work, and I'm holding the first sample from Japan of taking that hourglass shape and printing it on this textured ground that I wish we could show you guys in person, but, and then this metallic that kind of comes in and out. So we took her graphic style and then made it in a bit of a more nuanced. And then this one is I don't know, Lisa, I would like to know your favorite, but this is my favorite. This is called Dorado, and this is a foil print, which is a technique that's somewhat new, where you can print on a textile and get a real shine to it that looks like foil. It actually is foil. And we did that in a very dramatic color, as Lisa's art does, and then we did it in a very quiet color on a linen. They're both on linen. And then I might be talking too much now, but I'll get it all out and then you can, is the textile. We weren't originally going to do textile. We were going to stick to more of the paper, wall covering, but we took Dorado, which we loved. We made it totally miniature, and then we wove it into this beautiful double width sheer in linen and cotton, and has a few other fibers in it. That's so beautiful. It's like the eclipse of the moon almost. And we are able, because it's double width, you use it for drapery, but we can also do bedding out of it. And it's so pretty because it, again, takes her shine, but it does it in a way, the yarn we use is not a shiny lurex, it's a matte shine lurex that we use. And that just gives you an example of how it's a Lisa Hunt bedroom.
Lisa, can you share with our audience about the importance that geometrics play in your work? There's certainly a hallmark of a lot of what you do, and you draw upon a lot of references from architecture to different eras, such as Art Deco. What draws you to that motif or those motifs?
It's in terms of the geometry, the geometric shapes. It's just something that I feel kind of intuitively drawn to. I can appreciate a lot of different, shapes and processes and all kinds of different types of art that's more figurative. But for me, when I sit down to create, or even actually when I'm just sketching or doodling I remember from when I was a kid, I was just always kind of drawing geometric shapes. So I think it's just something that intuitively I'm drawn to. And I like the simplicity. I like building layers with simple shapes. And, with repetition, which is a big part of the work that I do, I feel like repetition, repeat patterns are very meditative. And again, it feels like a very intuitive part of my process of creating is to, like I said, from the time I start just kind of thinking about, ideas and playing around with things. And I do look at architecture a lot, especially when we were living in the city in Brooklyn and New York. And, looking at the shapes of windows and how shadows are cast across the windows at different times of the day. And, I'm just drawn to those instinctively, I think. And I start to just, I think, create a catalog in my mind of how those things play themselves out. And then when I go to sit down and start sketching, that's where you start to see the repetition. And I think it is a meditative process for me when I'm creating. Yeah.
And you could hold on that the sheer, I'm not sure if it's a sheer, but
yeah.
What was it like seeing your work translated into something tactile like that? Had you ever had any of your pieces sort of reinterpreted into textiles in this way before?
Not in this way. I have, I think when I first started trying to figure out what the next career was going to be for myself, I explored a lot of different possibilities, and textiles are something that I am, inspired by and have always been inspired by process and finish and all of that. So I had done some screen printing of textiles in my studio, just as kind of like my own exploration. But to see the work woven like that, as just a whole other dimension to the art, and I love it. I have to say, like I said, I really, and I mean it sincerely, I just love everything in the collection, and not just the pieces that are based on my art, but the whole collection together and how it all hangs together. And I'm actually excited to use some of it in the house that my husband and I just bought here in Maplewood. So it's exciting. I love it.
And Laurie touched on the metallics, and I know in my intro I mentioned the 24 karat gold appears in your screen prints and other work. What the allure with that material And was it important to get that conveyed in this collection?
I think, you know, when Laurie and I first had our first conversation in the studio, I was showing her, you know, everything from finished pieces of art to my little, you know, sketches or just ideas or things that I was pulling together. Gold figures very prominently in my work. Gold specifically, not so much other metallics at this time. So, you know, we talked, you know, initially like how the work could be interpreted. But I think at the end of the conversation, we both agreed that, you know, at least a metallic quality had to be included in how she and her team were going to interpret the art.
Right.
And, you know, I think Laurie said earlier, you know, sometimes gold can overwhelm and be very, you know, shiny. And I think the subtleties that even I try to play with using the gold leaf are something that were translated into the collection that Laurie and her team created. So, Laurie, did you have thoughts on the metallic initially, or?
Well, you know, it's so interesting because our country is vast and there are certain territories that love metallic, love golds, love silvers, love all the metallics. And then there are other territories that don't want it at all. So again, back to like one of your first questions, Clint, like how to create a collection that we can kind of have something for everybody. So we have some that are a little bit more emphasizing the shine and the glitz, but still doing it in a sophisticated way. And then we have others where it's just almost like a reflection. And what helps is when you are working with dimension or playing with different techniques. And that's what textile design actually teaches you, is it's not just about taking a pattern and translating it into the paper or the cloth. It's thinking more dimensionally about it and how you can really bring it. I like to compare it to piano playing, where there's one note, and then there's the chord. And what we try and do is make every piece that we bring to market a chord.
Very cool. You had mentioned earlier about how much your own work is inspired by nature and the natural world, and this sort of fills a niche that really isn't represented in your line. And I know even with the fabrics and wallpapers that you designed that are inspired by nature, you still love this idea of juxtaposition and contrast. And this seems to sort of marry a lot of those ideas. Maybe I'm overstretching a little bit, but
no, it's the polarity. It's playing with the unexpected. It's like mixing a matte and shine. It's like the opposites attract, and if you do them in the right way, in a way you would never expect to put together. And maybe to the interior designers out there, they do this all the time with their interiors. I'm not an interior designer, so I don't know how it works. I just know it does work when you mix something really old in a really modern space, and it suddenly just everything comes to life. Sort of on a mini level, we try and juxtapose in our materials.
I'm asking a question that nobody can answer, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you have a favorite in the collection, or any here in the presentation that really speak to you more than maybe others, or have a special meaning?
Lisa?
I really like, I think I love the hourglass, and I like, isn't it Olympia? And I'm sorry, I'm thinking of, it's based on the pomegranate print that I created.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah, I love it. And the photograph does not do it justice. I hope everybody orders samples because it's really beautiful. It's one of my favorites. So it's on that great grass cloth, and then there is a subtle sheen to it, and the pattern itself is a pattern that I when I created it, I was really happy with it, and it's something that I want to continue to use in my work and kind of, have different interpretations of it. But I really love it, and I love. I don't know the colorway, Laurie, but it's the one that it's a bit of a mauve, and I don't know what that's my favorite.
That's interesting. It's hello, it's this one, right?
Yes.
That's so pretty.
I love it.
We really, that's another whole thing, Clint, is color. We had to make sure, like, we kind of worked on color somewhat independently, and then had to show Lisa and hope that she liked it.
Right.
So because the colors are somewhat different. Like, I mean, the green and I'm not sure they're colors you would use, Lisa. At least your colors are much more neutral. But
Yeah,
yeah.
my palette is pretty restricted, but now I'm starting to, you know, play with more color, and so I think the collection is inspiring me to think of different colorways now too.
And all the ones we're seeing on the left, are all of those on grass cloth ground?
They are. They are. There are 4 colorways of this one called Olympia, and then we have 2 grass cloths that are just plain to go. So you could, I don't know. I know on Zoom it's terrible to show these things, but basically you could do one accent wall with the Olympia pattern, and then the ground as the rest if you didn't want the whole room that way. So that one is really textural, and Lisa's absolutely right. The photography doesn't do it justice. My favorite is Dorado, which is this one. For those of you who, it's this one.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it, especially in this really nuanced, neutral colorway. I love it because it's total geometry, but it's totally organic brushstrokes at the same time. And the repeated pattern in it is so beautiful. It's repeated, but it's not repeated. It's really, I think, my favorite. And that's why I think we felt we needed to do a textile for it as well to honor it. So, but you know, it's like your children. How do you pick?
I know. I said I was asking the impossible question, so thank you for indulging me on that. So
just one thing I just have to say about Paris. When we were there launching this collection, George had mentioned it. We rented an apartment where we were going to, it seems like a million years ago, he's right, but we rented an apartment, and it was really beautiful. We were going to have everybody there to present. It was the Black Artisan Designer Guild celebrating them, and also the new collection launch. And there are so many of the American interior designers and editors that go to Paris, and I hope it happens again. And there was a beautiful piano in the apartment, and somehow, miraculously, through, I don't even want to tell you how long, we found this adorable guy to come and play piano for us during this launch. And he played this piece that was so beautiful that we had him play it. It was a 4-minute piece as a prelude before we presented the collection, because it, in a musical way, summed up what the collection felt and looked like. And I know that sounds a little bit abstract, but it was so perfect. And we had, and I won't mention names, people there who are never off their cell phones or Instagrams, silent, just listening to the music. So there is a component to this collection that's audio. And maybe it's about the repeat, but the movement within the repeats. I can't tell you why, but it's there. I just wanted to,
that's very cool.
Some of your listeners have been there. There were a lot of designers from Connecticut there, actually.
Exactly. It sounds like it was serendipitous. It was meant to be.
Absolutely.
So in the last few months, what have each of you been working on in this sort of new era? Lisa, from your home studio, and Laurie, I don't know if you've been going into the studio or sort of been hanging out at home. Has it hampered your creativity process, or have you been able to kind of explore new things?
I'll go first, Laurie. I have, well, like you said, my husband and I, we're still in the process of building our at-home studios. So that process has, you know, kind of slowed down my actual making of the art. So I've been doing a lot of exploration, color and different techniques. Most of my work to date is all been screen printed, either on paper or canvas. So, you know, with not being able to work the way that I would normally in our studio that's finished, I just picked up some colored pencils and some gouache recently and just started, you know, just very freely making marks and trying to discover new ways of exploring some of the things in my work. And so that's been really great. You know, it's there's days when it's really harder than others. But, you know, with the time that I have, I've been trying to refocus and stay inspired. And I'm working on a couple commissions, which I'm grateful to have, especially during this time. So excited about those. And yeah, that's it for me. Laurie?
I go back and I'm in New York City. I live in Chelsea, so I go back and forth walking to the studio and home, and then bike rides. That's basically all we do, wearing our masks. And I feel very creative. I do have off days, I'll admit, where it's hard to get out of bed. And then I'll get up the next day and feel so inspired and creative. Tragedy like this, I think, breeds innovation. And so I'm busy in the studio working on new products, new projects, new ideas, and organizing a lot, my color boxes and things, and I play music and I feel good here. I will say, I think it's a great opportunity right now for interior designers. I know that might sound strange, but I think that when this is passed, more and more people will realize and will be working remotely, which means their homes and home offices need to be really great. And I love DIY, but that's not going to do it. So
I can relate. Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see the interior designers somehow make themselves more accessible to more people, because we need them more than ever, because we're spending so much time at home. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's okay. It's
Day.
okay.
Any final remarks before we open it up to questions? We don't have any questions at the moment, but we have several comments. No question, just want to comment on how gorgeous the collection is. Such a fantastic collaboration. Lisa, your work is so beautiful and inspired. So people are very receptive to it. So
Awesome.
Anything else in closing before we open it up to questions?
No, nothing from me.
I don't think so. I just hope that everybody out there stays healthy and safe, but also creative, and know that there is a future for all of us here, and that we just need more good design. That's never going to go away.
Absolutely. And I also want to let everyone know that you can follow Lisa on Instagram at Creative Hunt, or go to her website, lisahuntcreative.com. And Laurie can be found at laurieweitzner.com, weitznerlimited.com, and on Instagram at Laurie Weitzner. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone? Anyone?
Is there a question down in there?
Someone raise their virtual hand. Let's see.
So strange when it's Zoom. It's you want to be able to see the people, and
Are the wallpapers and fabric memos available at Wakefield? I don't have the answer for that. Do either of you know?
I believe they can be purchased through Wakefield. I don't know if the samples are there or not. George can answer on that, I think.
Okay.
And come back to us, I think.
And George is going to join us for final remarks in just a moment. He can
Answer to that. Yeah.
Anyone else? Does anyone? George will have to answer this too. Who is the rep in the Boston area or online?
Well, you can go to weitznerlimited.com, which is our website, and they list all of the reps in Boston, in the area. But we do have our rep from Boston, who's lovely, named Rita, and her contact info is listed on our website, so it should be very easy to access. And if for some reason it's not, you can always email me at info@laurieweitzner.com. So it's pretty easy. We're everywhere. We're everywhere that we try and be, and we have lovely people helping. So yeah.
Well, I just have to thank you both so much for taking time to do this. It's been a lot of fun, and I wish you both continued success and health and happiness as we get through this.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Clinton. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. This has been awesome.
And George, I'm going to turn it back over to you for some closing remarks.
I don't know how to do it.
You're on.
Oh, I don't see. Oh, do you see me?
Yep.
Good to see you.
Oh, I don't see me. So anyway, all right. So thank you. That was fast. Oh, that was fascinating.
Laura, you may have to turn your screen sharing off. Does that
Oh, you're right. That's the problem. Sorry, everybody.
There you are. I just want to say thank you both, and thank everybody for tuning in. I've seen the product in person. It is absolutely breathtaking. I mean,
wow.
Breathtaking. And the art that inspires part of it is amazing. and the collection is amazing. And there was a question. No, we don't have samples here in the showroom. We rep probably 100 different fabric and wallpaper lines, but we can order memos for anyone if they know what pattern they're interested in seeing. I should have a glass of champagne, but it seems a little early in the day for that. So maybe at one of the others, but I would like to give you a virtual toast and thank everybody so much for making this possible.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, George.
Hey, next year in Paris all together.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
thank
you should get the
everyone.
same space again. That was amazing.
We
Agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
You got it. Okay.
well, yeah. And we're going to get the same piano player.
Great.
Everyone's invited on the Zoom.
Okay, good. And everybody should follow Wakefield on social media for updates on the next To the Trade Day lineup, the date and time, and the panelists. So thank you for joining us.
Great. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Stay
guys.
safe.
Stay safe.